Hey, Brendan, what's happening today?
Mike, how are you today?
I'm pretty good. I have a problem.
What's your problem?
I took my time on my website to go through and write specific descriptions for every single page that I wanted to rank using the Yoast SEO plugin. And I just Googled my business or the keywords, and I found my website's ranking really well, which is great. But I looked at the description, and the description is actually the first sentence on the page of my website and not the customized description that I wrote.
You've got a bigger problem, Mike. The problem is Google's smarter than you.
So
So,
what
so
can I fix this?
you can't. You can't. And I have a funny story for you too that goes along with that. I actually have someone help me out with some SEO stuff, and she came from another agency. I hired her a couple of weeks ago, and we were doing some training, and she's like, "Hey, I spent the last 5 hours and I went through all the blog posts on this client site, and I wrote meta descriptions because you didn't have them." And I was like, "Why did you do that?" I'm like, "I didn't have them on purpose." And she's like, "Well, all of our clients always ask about it." And I'm like, yeah, because that's the first BS thing that people try to sell you on is that, hey, your website's missing a meta description and a business owner doesn't know what that means. And they think it sounds important. And they're like, gosh, how am I missing it? Well, the reality, Mike, is that 10 or 15 years ago, when we got started in this industry, we needed a meta description on every single page. And for those that don't know what a meta description actually is, I guess we should define it. When you Google a term, you'll see the little blue title of the page show up. And then below it, you'll see 2 lines of text. And that's the meta description. That's defined in the actual page source on each page on your website so that Google knows what to put there. It's kind of like a little preview or an excerpt of what that page is about. And so, back up 10 or 15 years, and if you didn't have that there, Google would actually just show a blank listing in their search results for you. So you would have a title with absolutely no meta description. And it was definitely bad for you because you wouldn't rank as well. You wouldn't get as many clicks because you didn't have as much information up on the search engines. A few years back, Google continued to get smarter and smarter. Now they have all sorts of AI, and they started introducing an algorithm that basically would override your meta description. So even if you put one in the coding, they'll read your page content and they might grab the first sentence, like what you said. They might grab the 17th sentence. They'll grab something that they think is most relevant to what your page is about. And they'll actually put that in the meta description box. And a lot of times they'll A/B test it against what you actually have, or they'll even A/B test it against other meta descriptions that they create for you, just to see what gets the best click through for your site. So, to answer your question, Mike, even though you went through the trouble of writing that description and doing a good service for your client, there's nothing you can do to force Google to show your description versus what they want to show.
So it begs the question, should I even have a meta description?
Yeah, and that's a really good question. In a perfect world, if I give you the textbook answer, I would say yes, you still should have meta descriptions because sometimes Google gets it wrong. Like I said, they'll A/B test it. So your description might be better than what their AI can come up with or what they can grab out of your article. So for the foreseeable future, I would say it's still good to have it. If you don't have it, though, it's really not the end of the world because Google's system is pretty darn good at creating their own meta description for you. The other thing that Google started doing, Mike, I don't know if you've noticed this much yet, but they're rolling out a program where the number one result, they actually show a much larger meta description for. So I had a client the other day that was ranking number one, that we wrote a meta description for that also wasn't showing up, same as your situation. And when we actually Googled the keyword, it was pulling in like 6 different bullet points from the article that we wrote. So we had a massive meta description. It was taking up like half of the first page of results, which was awesome. But there was nothing we could do to force Google to show that. They just thought that our page, our content was so good and our information was so good, that they were going to show that. And I'm sure behind the scenes, Mike, they're probably measuring the click-through rate of that. They're probably measuring how much traffic are we getting, how much value are we providing to people using Google, and evaluating, should we leave that there or should we go back to the regular meta description for this website?
That's pretty interesting. So this sounds like a little bit of a coin flip. It's good practice to do it. Maybe you do it on the most important pages of your site and not every single blog post. Would that be accurate?
I would say that's good practice. And to be honest, Mike, it's one of those things that takes, 15 seconds, right? If you're writing a blog post, it takes 15 seconds to write a short meta description. So there's no harm in doing it. But if you have a massive website with thousands of pages and you don't have it, I wouldn't go through the trouble of writing it for all the pages. Like you said, I would maybe do it for your top 10 or 15 pages.
And to your point, like your new assistant, don't spend 5 hours.
Don't spend 5 hours doing it. Exactly.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's great information. Thanks, Brendan.
Absolutely, Mike.